Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And amongst the sea of corruption, amongst the sea of politics and amongst the sea of a lot of kalabella, this morning we've got a young man who's decided to make an entry into politics. To find out what on earth possessed him to do such a thing, we thought we'll invite him and ask him directly. We have with us this morning, young man, new politician, Mr. Charita Gunaratna. Very good morning to you, Mr. Gunaratna, and welcome on Newsline.
Good morning, Shauketaly.
And many congratulations on your election and appointment to the membership of the Colombo Municipal Council, representing your party, which has its roots and its background in the United National Party. The name of your party is the
United National Freedom Front.
Ah, right, indeed. You all walked from Kandy to Colombo.
Yes, we did. We walked, we walked 120 kilometers within 4 days.
Right. Did you lose a lot of weight?
Well, I hope I did, but
right.
I mean,
we'll have to ask your mum about that.
But I didn't look like it.
Right. Sunburnt?
A little.
A little. We're a young man into politics. I've got so many questions for you, but perhaps you'll tell us, why politics?
Well, Mr. Shauketaly, why I entered politics is because I wanted to actually do something for the people of Colombo.
Right.
And I have liked politics from a very young age.
Right. And
I decided to do politics is because I thought the people deserve more.
Right.
And this is a country which we are taxed for everything.
Right.
And the people, I don't feel get what they deserve with their tax rupees.
So their tax rupees are not working in their favor?
Well, I don't think so. Right. Or not as it should work.
When you were campaigning and did you do house to house, I suppose?
Yes, I did.
Right. So what did you find out? What was the key things that you found out?
Well, to be honest with you, people didn't, when they thought, they assumed that we came from all these big parties.
Right.
They thought we came from, the UMP or the SLFP or all these big parties.
Right.
And we were not welcome.
Right.
And when we went up to them and we said, we are from a new party, these are our policies, give us a chance, then only the doors opened.
Right.
Then only we were given the chance to come inside and talk about our principles and policies.
And what did you find was uppermost in their minds?
Well, to be honest, they were fed up. They were fed up of the lies, they were fed up of the false promises, they were fed up of everything they were promised. And they were fed up that they voted on the 8th of January 2015. They voted for a change, and that change wasn't given to them.
And bearing in mind that you were campaigning in Colombo, the sort of hotbed of support for the United National Party, they say that even if you paved, an opposition party paved the streets of Colombo with gold, the people of Colombo wouldn't vote any other way but the UNP. And so what did you find? What were the issues in their mind? Was it the garbage? Was it the dengue? Was it the corruption at a national level? What was it?
Well, when we went house to house, their first problem was the garbage problem.
Right.
From a large house to a small house.
Yeah.
Their biggest problem was the garbage problem.
Right.
And secondly, their biggest problem was dengue.
Right.
Maybe 1 in 5 houses we visited, we always found there was always a person who was suffering from dengue or who has suffered from dengue within the past 5 to 10 years. I personally myself, I was a victim of the dengue mosquito.
Oh, right.
Many years back.
Okay.
And I know what it is like to suffer from that.
And then what is your plan? What's your plan? You were sworn in, what, 2 days ago, yesterday?
So we had our inaugural meeting yesterday.
Right. So now that you've entered the fray, if you like, what's your plan? What do you intend to do?
Well, Mr. Shauketaly, what we intend to do is we made a promise to the people. I mean, our party, we had our party policies, and which is number one on my priority list is working towards the eradication of dengue.
Right.
That is number one.
That's number one.
Because the thing is, people with dengue, unlike other problems, people have to pay with their lives.
Right.
You know, they don't need to, you know, it's a life or death situation for most families.
Right.
And with that problem, I mean, people have to go to government hospitals, you know, and when they go to government hospitals, they need government health care. That is also another burden on the government.
Right.
And also, when the hospitals are full, you know, the patients are not given the adequate treatment and care and nursing they deserve to cure that illness.
Good. Now, the other thing I want to ask you was, when you entered this industry, if you like, this politics, you must have known that there is a serious concern at a national level about corruption, state, you know, political patronage and corruption at the highest levels going. In that knowledge, did you really want to enter politics?
Well, Mr. Shauketaly, I want to be the change I want to see.
Right.
So, I mean, even people at the municipal council yesterday, what they ask is, you know, what is your plan to eradicate corruption? I mean, eradication of corruption is not an easy thing in this country, to be very honest with you.
Why is that? Is that because it's deep-seated? Is it deep-rooted?
The reason is because, I mean, we are municipal councillors.
Right.
Okay? The corruption starts at the very top.
Right.
From very top of the hierarchy. So how can we, what example does our leaders give us when they, you know, get caught red-handedly robbing banks, you know, maneuvering and, you know, maneuvering tenders? How can we? So it is not an easy task, but it is not impossible. So our leaders are not leading by example. So we have to be the example we want to see. And because that being the situation, then it will make life easier for us to eradicate corruption, but that's not the case in this country.
The results of the local government polls was all there to see. The two leading parties took a beating like never before. The United National Party suffered a huge blow, as did the SLFP, and we saw the emergence of new boys on the block and new ladies on the block, a new party that engulfed this entire country. It was a sea of the SLPP. If you look at their colors on a map of Sri Lanka, it was impossible almost to see any other color. That message was a powerful message, wasn't it?
It was. It was. And that, I mean, the current government should take that as a sign that they are not going on the correct path.
But, Charles, when we look at that result, and then when we looked at the result of the no confidence motion a few days ago, it somehow doesn't reflect the will of the people.
Well, that is what, you know, actually astounds me as well, because, I mean, the members of parliament are supposed to be representatives of the people. And on the 10th of February, I mean, the people, through the election, clearly showed what they want and what they do not want. But the no confidence motion and what the result of that said otherwise. What was the reason for that? The reason for that is, I mean, the parliament, I mean, it's known as the Uttaritara Mayatane. The parliament, the parliamentarians can be influenced, probably even bought over.
You talk about with money?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. But the people of this country cannot be influenced or cannot be bought over. I mean, this is a survivor's game. People are trying to, buy politicians over. I mean, I don't know how far they can go with being bought over, because the people are not fools. They know what they want, and they cannot go back to their villages or their seats or their areas where they come from after, making bad decisions like that.
As a young man, what did you feel when we had the incumbent Prime Minister of this country being asked to turn up to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry looking into the issuance of bonds by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka? What did you feel, and especially as a lawyer in the making, what did you feel about that?
Well, personally, if I was the Prime Minister, or in an ideal situation, the Prime Minister should have resigned temporarily, at least, gone for the inquiry, and after his name, or if his name was he was acquitted from the charge, then he could have resumed as Prime Minister. Because when I feel, not even a Prime Minister, even a minister or a parliamentarian, when you go to a commission or wherever, there is a possibility of being influenced there.
Right.
But the one thing I must be very clear about is the commission had made a very, very straightforward report.
Right.
And it's not new news, as to who the culprits of this matter was.
Right. And when you, again, from a young perspective, from a youthful perspective, when you see a person who's holding high office, as indeed the governor of the central bank commands that sort of respect, because you can't get much higher than that. And when you now see that there is this person who's being asked to come back and help the police with their inquiries, and the Attorney General's Department to give a statement and so on, and when you see them not coming back, what do you feel as citizen of this country, as a member of the youth, as a member of the future of our country? How do you feel?
There has to be a reason as to why Mr. Arjumandra is not coming back now.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Well, if you were accused of doing something wrong, or we'll say if I was accused of doing something wrong, and they take me before a court, if I know I'm not wrong, if the people know I'm not wrong, I have no problem going to any court or any commission, before any commission, and fighting my case. But if you don't have an argument, if you have got caught, or you're getting caught, going to get caught red-handedly, how can you face the commission? Probably he may not come back to Sri Lanka. But the reason for that to happen in this Shauketaly is, if you know you're guilty of something, it's a human instinct to evade it. Wouldn't you agree with me there?
I am astounded at the openness, and I agree with you completely. After this short break, we'll come back and discuss this further with Charita Gunaratne, the future of Sri Lanka.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline, where we are in conversation with a youthful politician, perhaps the future of Sri Lanka, Mr. Charita Gunaratne. Thank you very much again for being on our program. As a young man, and who's just made his entry into politics, obviously you've made some sort of commitment, but what's your ideal mentor leader role?
Well, my idea of a leader is you have to lead by example. You have to be humble. You have to be a good leader. You have to look after the people under you, the people who follow you. Now I will give you a very good example, Mr. Shauketaly. I mean, an example of a poor leader. I mean, I'll give you this example you will be very familiar with. Now, a few days ago, most probably I think day before yesterday, your organization, an organization which has brought the truth to the people of this country. This organization was attacked with fireworks after the victory of the no confidence motion by the Prime Minister. I mean, is that what a leader or a humble person for that matter would do after a victory? I mean, I don't think so. Well, at least that was not what we were taught. I mean, they only stopped with lighting firecrackers this time. I mean, if they were given guns or anything bigger than that, I mean, they would have probably used that as well. I mean, the leader of this country is no different to Mervyn Silva.
Right. Well, actually, fair point. It was intimidating, and there are people of all sorts of ages working here. In our newsroom, there's many young people who made a commitment to work as journalists, and their just reward cannot be intimidation. In any event, we as News First, we don't succumb to these sort of things. We've been through far worse. We need to remember that our group was burnt to ashes in 1983, and the owners of the group made a decision, a conscious decision then, which they didn't have to, because there would have been alternatives for them personally, but they made this decision to rebuild, and they are now bigger and better than ever before. But that's because of the strength and the character, the nature of the person behind the group. And with the loyal people who stood by him on the rebuilding way. But that opportunity may not have been available to everyone. So what are the lost opportunities is the question that we need to ask. There are businesses here in this country who've made their mark throughout the war. At your age, you probably been lucky only in the sense that it's since 2009 that we've not had a terrorist problem. But many people, many opportunities were lost, and only God knows what that meant for Sri Lanka. And of course we are committed to the people, and we have no intention of ever giving up. We don't believe in that. That's not part of our ethos. And but thank you for following what's happening, but you must recognize that the road ahead is not an F1 racetrack where the road is perfect.
Like most of the roads in Sri Lanka.
Yes, so they're a bit uneven.
Yeah.
And nobody ever said that sorry, democracy is easy. But what do you feel for, what is your hope for Sri Lanka? Can we fight corruption? Can we get the economy going? Can we justify an equitable lifestyle to the people of our country? What about the 137,000 families who need housing? From some of them still from the tsunami, some of them who were kicked out by the LTT and who are now in the Putlum area, and the people within the conflict zone who are needing their homes and their lands back. What do you think?
There is nothing we can't do, Mr. Shauketaly. I mean, it all ends up with your attitude. If you, I mean, this now, for example, the Colombo Municipal Council has got a lot of new blood, and most municipal councils have got the same. We have to have an attitude to help the people. We need to say, yes, we can. If we can do that, and if we can accomplish that, we can do anything. Even when it comes to eradication of corruption, working for the people who need serious help, housing, all of that, there is a start. And if we can give that by being honest politicians, by being humble politicians, by giving the people what they want, and not only coming back to electorate when it's about 6 months out of an election, then I feel this country will actually start moving forward faster than it ever has before.
The vote of no confidence was an opportunity for the country to highlight in very clear terms, because as you know, the items listed on the no confidence motion were overwhelmingly about the bond. This is the bond that was described as the worst, largest financial scam inflicted upon the people of this country. I'm not saying that. That was more or less what the Attorney General's Department described it at the Commission. Now, in that background, what are the real chances of eradicating corruption? Where should we start there to fight it fully? You mentioned it earlier, manipulating or maneuvering, you said, of tenders. Where should it start?
Well, now, Mr. Shauketaly, the cat is out of the bag, and there is no point in crying over spilt milk. People have lost faith in the leaders, or the current leaders of this country. Now, people, their last resort is the judicial system, the courts. Now the courts are working to get the perpetrators of this bond scam and do justice. That is our last resort, and that is the only resort that can actually do justice to the people of this country.
But there are a growing number of people in this country sorry, who want the return of the monies, because the money that they've taken has impacted significantly on the EPF, for example, and they want the return of the money. They don't only want justice, but they want the return of the money.
So, Mr. Shauketaly, this is how it works. I mean, you take a country like England, Singapore, America. I mean, why do people pay tax? People happily pay tax. People don't evade paying tax. That is because those countries provide, I mean, the taxpayer, when they work, after they have finished working, they provide social security, they provide top-class medical care, they provide living, housing if you don't have a house, they provide all facilities a person needs, or even a senior person needs, after they are not capable, or after they retire, or not capable of working anymore. But what happens in Sri Lanka? That's not what happens in Sri Lanka. We need to pay for our public transportation. We need to buy cars, highly taxed cars, because our public transportation is not good enough. We need to go to private hospitals because our medical standards are good, but I mean they cannot accommodate the people or the crowds that come into the hospitals. So, given that situation, if we improve the facilities we provide for the people using their tax money they pay, I feel our country can start going forward. If we can start becoming a first-class country, I mean like a country like England, which people would voluntarily come and pay taxes, because, for example, Mr. Shauketaly, I mean the EPF, ETF money, I mean that is the money which belongs to the people. People work all their lives to get the EPF, ETF money. Yeah. And when it's taken away from them, I mean, how can we go and answer to the people?
When people ask you, when you travel about, when you here, there and everywhere, are you proud to be Sri Lankan?
I'm very proud to be Sri Lankan. I mean, I wouldn't want to be any other nationality other than being a Sri Lankan.
And your commitment is to this country, to our country?
Our country.
And come what may, you are going to work towards fixing the problems.
Definitely. I mean, that is my pledge to the people. I want to make the change people so badly deserve.
There's a viewer, obviously from Colombo, who's sending me this question. It's for you. Could you please ask this gentleman why I am being demanded 1,000 rupees per month for the garbage collector from my residence? If I don't pay, they just drive past without collecting it. Who can I complain to?
Well, thank you for the question, sir or madam, whoever it is. Yesterday's inaugural meeting at the Colombo Municipal Council, I was appointed to the standing committee of the waste and debris management standing committee.
Yes.
And when people call and people came up to me and said, they were like, Majang, if we have a garbage problem, we are going to give you a call.
Yes.
And they expected me to say, yes, please do, I will come and sort it out.
Yes.
But my answer to my friends, my colleagues, were, in an ideal situation, I want to work in such a way which I do not leave an opportunity for the people to call me and say I have a garbage problem. That garbage problem should be taken care of without anyone ringing me up and saying, we have this problem.
Right.
Worst case scenario, if such problem occurs, I want to be one of the first people to get there and try to solve the problem and ensure that it will never ever happen again.
And that's your commitment?
That is my commitment to the people of Colombo.
Now, you come from a sort of a legal and political background, and you're studying to be a lawyer, and we wish you all the very best in terms of that. There are other questions. There's one person who's asking whether he saw any councillor newly appointed who has made an impression on him. And another one says, where do you all sit now that your council is much bigger?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. We are sitting at the new town hall, which is on down Green Path.
Right.
And because there is a fairly larger number than last time. We've got 119 members, and it is until they renovate the new town hall. We are using the new town hall. Until they renovate the old town hall, we are using the new town hall, which is a little like a tuition class. Oh, because they were not equipped to actually have a council there. And so reminds me of the good old days when I used to go for these group classes where you have a pad on the right hand side, right, and you're sitting next to people and
taking notes down.
Taking notes down.
A little bit of deja vu.
It is a deja vu.
Right. And where did you get your schooling from? This is a loaded question.
Well, yeah, they call it Galkisse Valley School, but in English it's known as St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia.
I see. Okay. Well, I should have said, but all education is good education, and in Sri Lanka we are fortunate that our system supposedly permits free education and free medical and so on. But Charita Gunratna, for your commitment to taking on an industry that doesn't seem to have a future for young people, corrupt as that system is, we wish you really all the very best. We thank you for taking us on and coming here, and we hope to invite you in a few months' time, because I can see the figures, the dengue figures for between January and March this year. The top three districts is Colombo with 2,242, Batikla with 1,559, and Gampa with 1,348. So we hope to have you back here and to ask you to give us a progress report. And we hope you will come.
I mean, I hope to give half, make those numbers by half, in most probably maybe, or even zero, in the before the end of this year.
Good. We'd like to see the delivery. Thank you very much, Chaita Gururatna, for being on the program, and great pleasure. And that's the way it was on Newsline on the 6th of April 2018, which is Friday. Take care. God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.